guys, so I'm Gia, and for the 5 of you or 2 of you that might know, I've had this YouTube channel since I was like 11, but recently I decided to start it again because, first of all, I do have a stutter and I thought it could help with my public speaking, and second of all, because I'm on YouTube all the time and I really like watching product reviews, and I do own a lot of products that I have a lot of opinions on, so I thought I would start with a fragrance review, and hopefully this is helpful. So I saw recently a company called Dossier, which is a inspirations fragrance house, which means they make affordable versions of designer and niche fragrances. So I made a purchase, and today I'm going to tell you sort of how my experience was with that. So this is not sponsored whatsoever. I actually have 11 Dossier fragrances with me, but I'm going to start by reviewing 5. So I made 2 separate purchases. I'm going to review the first batch first, just because if I review all 11, it's going to get way too long. And if you guys are interested, I can make the second one. So Dossier, so their fragrances are all $29 or $39, $29 for designer and $39 for niche. And sometimes they have these sales. So I bought my first batch on during a 5 for 35% off sale. Now you could have also gotten like 4 for 30% off or 3 for 25% off. Like the more you buy, the more discounted it is, right? But I bought the maximum because the good thing about Dossier is that no matter how many you buy, they have a no questions asked 30-day return policy. So they send you this, right? This box with the full-size 50 ml fragrance, but it also comes with a tester. They all come with these testers. So you take out your tester, test it out, and if you don't like it, then you send this back unopened, and you get a full refund, no questions asked. So it's very it's heavy. It feels pretty expensive, and then it has a magnetic cap. I really like this touch, and the atomizer is also great. But they all have their own names that are indicative of how they smell. And then it tells you top, middle, and base notes. Now, what I don't like about this is the label is stuck on. So almost all the labels I got were either a little bit like lopsided, or they had this these air bubbles in them, and that I don't love. But other than that, I really like the packaging and I really like the system, and they have great customer service. So they responded to me right away. One thing to be careful about with their holiday sales is, so I bought my first batch during the early Black Friday sale, which was the highest discount they gave was 35% off if you bought 5. So I bought that, but then they raised the discount a few weeks later to 6 for 45% off, and then they raised it again to 6 for 50% off. And all along, I was under the impression that that was the Black Friday sale. So needless to say, I was upset when they made the sale, when they improved the discount. So I emailed them and I was like, I'm a little bit upset. Is there any way I can get a partial refund for the difference? Because if I had known the sale would have gotten better, I would have waited, but there was no indication. And then they said, I completely understand your frustration. They got back to me within like half a day. So we completely understand your frustration. We can't do that, but if you want to return everything and reorder them at the new sales price, you totally can. So yeah, so I did have a very positive experience with their customer service team. Product reviews. So out of the 5 that I got in my first batch, there were 2 that I definitely wanted to keep, 2 maybes, and 1 send back. And this is not really an indictment of Dossier, it's just a matter of whether I liked the fragrances or not. So, okay, so the first one I decided to keep is Wood Sage and Sea Salt, or inspired by Jo Malone's Wood Sage and Sea Salt, but this is called, the Dossier version is called Woody Sage. So the top notes are fig tree and grapefruit, middle notes are marine notes and ambrette, and the base notes are clary sage and amber wood. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit first just how it smells, and then I'll compare it to Jo Malone. So the way Woody Sage smells is, to me, it starts out with a bit of a fig. Like the fig note is definitely there. It's a fruity, but not really sickly sweet. It's like, it's sweet, but it's sweet in a floral way, in a natural sort of floral fig kind of smell. And then the marine notes and woody notes began to emerge, like driftwood in the ocean or something. I don't know what that would actually smell like. I've never smelled that, but that's sort of what comes to mind. This woody / marine smell becomes to emerge, and then it just gets stronger and stronger, and then it just stays while the fig note sort of fades into the background after like the first 15 minutes or something. So I really do like this. I would say it's a year-round scent. It's not particularly any of the seasons. It almost has a mix to me because it starts out very summery and springy, but then it becomes more warm weather neutral because of the emergence of the wood note. In terms of how it compares to Jo Malone, I would say it has a bit of a more candied quality to it. In Jo Malone, like Jo Malone is almost a little bit more masculine than this one. Although I would say they're both unisex, but I think Jo Malone leans a little bit more masculine while this one leans a little bit more feminine. Yeah, I would say this one is a little bit springy, a little bit more fruity than the Jo Malone. The fig note is a little bit more prominent. So the next one I'm going to keep is Floriantel Cedarwood, which is inspired by Thierry Mugler Alien. Now, Floriantel Cedarwood has top notes of mandarin, cardamom, orange blossom, middle notes of jasmine, sandalwood, and cedarwood, and base notes of heliotrope flower, amber, and vanilla. So I would say Floriantel Cedarwood is a bit more of a warm, of a cold weather scent, a bit more of a fall winter situation. The woodsy note, the jasmine, and the amber vanilla are all sort of very prominent and very harmoniously mixed. It's a very sensual fragrance. Compared to Alien by Mugler, so It's MJ, one of my favorite fragrance channels, she described this as like a candied alien, and I do agree with that. She was saying that it smelled more like Alien Essence Absolue. I've never smelled Alien Essence Absolue because it's discontinued. This feels like a bit of a sweeter alien, not candied as in like sort of cheap, childish sweet, like Bath and Body Works kind of stuff. That's not what I get from this. It's just has a more of a by the fireplace, warm, sophisticated sweet to it, I would say. It almost feels a bit more feminine again than Alien. So I think in a way we get the same thing with Jo Malone. The sweet note here is more prominent, but after 15 minutes it really smells pretty identical to Alien. I think if someone were to smell you from a distance, they wouldn't know which was which. Alien is by no means powdery, but I think if I compared this to Alien, is a bit more powderier than this, and this is a bit more sweet than Alien. Now I'm gonna move on to the maybes. So I had two maybes, and they were both Chanel inspired fragrances. One is Woody Hyacinth, inspired by Chanel's Chance, and it has hyacinth, lemon, pineapple top notes. Middle notes are jasmine, pink pepper, patchouli, and base notes are vanilla, vetiver, and orris. So I've never actually smelled Chanel's Chance or Chanel's Coco Mademoiselle. For both of them, I get this kind of generic shopping mall feeling. Like they smell very good, but they're a little bit too generic, I would say. I would say you can wear them to whatever. They're safe blind buys. They're good gifting perfumes, I think, because they're not controversial in the way that a lot of Mugler's perfumes are. With the Woody Hyacinth, I smell, so it has a very nice balance, I think, of the woodsy, floral, and fruity notes. Like, I don't know if it's the pineapple, but it has a punch to it. It has a punch to it in the beginning. Right, so the other maybe was inspired by Chanel's Coco Mademoiselle. It's Oriental Oakmoss. This one has top notes of bergamot, orange, and peach, middle, jasmine, rose, and patchouli, and base notes, oakmoss, vanilla, and vetiver. So this Oriental Oakmoss, I kind of get the same thing, right, with the woody hyacinth, kind of a shopping mall situation. Again, very balanced in the woodsy, fruity, and floral notes. They're both feminine. Neither of them are like very sweet or gourmand. Like, I don't get any gourmand notes from them. I think that they're good year-round scents, but maybe a little bit better for spring and summer. The Oriental Oakmoss has less of a punch. I think less of that pineapple punch in the beginning. It's less sharp. It's a little bit more woody. It's a little bit more subdued, like not in the sense that it doesn't last as long or anything like that, or isn't as strong. It's just a little bit more, smells a little bit more mature to me than the woody hyacinth. Yeah. The one that I did want to send back was Citrus Green Apple, and this one is inspired by Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. So Light Blue I don't own, but I have memories of like smelling it in a mall before. And this Citrus Green Apple has top notes of green apple, lime, and cedric, middle notes of bluebell, jasmine, and rose, and base notes of amber, cedarwood, and musk. This is very interesting. Like, it is quite a complex fragrance to me. It's definitely a spring and summer fragrance. In the beginning, I get this fruity, this floral fruity. Again, not a sickly sweet synthetic fruity, but a floral fruity in the beginning. And it is a little bit sour almost in the beginning, I think because of the lime, but it's that sort of aromatic sour that you literally do smell from a lime, like if you were to cut a lime. The floral scents begin to emerge, and then the woody scents begin to emerge. I feel like if you were to look at the description, right, like the top, middle, base notes, it goes fruity, floral, and then woodsy. That is like exactly how you smell it, or exactly how I smelled it when I sprayed it on a card. And I was like, this is beautiful, this is great. But then when I sprayed it on myself, yes, so the fruity emerged, and then the floral emerged, and then the woodsy emerged, but then the floral and woodsy sort of disappeared, and what stayed on my skin was this almost like green apple candy smell with like a little bit of wood in the background, and I didn't like that. But I can tell you, like, in the air it smelled the same way that I remember Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue smelling, but I've never sprayed Light Blue on my skin. So I don't know if the reason I don't like this is because of Dossier, or because that's just how Light Blue is. But if you like Light Blue, I would say go ahead and get it. Try out the sample. If you don't like the sample, then just send it back. You'll get a full refund. So those are all of the fragrances in my first purchase. If you want to hear about the ones in my second purchase, just let me know, and then I can make a video on that as well. So before I go, I do want to note the way that the refund policy works. They don't refund you for shipping, but if you buy more than 3 fragrances, shipping becomes free. So I would always advise to buy more than 3 fragrances, or buy, because you can try them out, and if you don't like them, you can always send them back. And they'll refund you whatever you paid for those. One thing that I guess doesn't sit too well with me is that the fragrances, like, they're not sealed. So because they're not sealed, you can't tell if someone before you like opened them and sprayed them and returned them. To me, that's not a huge problem, because when I'm looking at the bottle, it looks full. They all look full. So even if someone sprayed them like once or twice, it's not a huge problem to me, because even if you buy it, it sits in your house, it evaporates a little bit. You're gonna lose those 1 or 2 sprays anyways. So I hope you guys enjoy that review, and I'll see you next time, hopefully.